Well, good afternoon to you and welcome into this edition of First Alert Weather Extra. A look at the satellite view across the region. There are a few clouds, definitely two distinct layers of clouds too. The low level ones are the ones closest to the ground that you can see are moving from south to north. That's because we have southerly winds across the area, but you can also see the effect of more of a westerly wind in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere pushing clouds, and that layer from west to east or left to right here on your screens. None of those clouds, though, are producing any showers, but they are evident here in our sky cams. You can see a mixture of those clouds and even some haziness out there adding to kind of the milky appearance to the sky. That's why it looks a little darker, a little more ominous than it really is. You can kind of see that there on the DeRitter sky cam, that kind of milky appearance. That's not really as much cloud cover as it is some haziness. The radar, no rain around. I don't expect to see any rain for the rest of this afternoon. So I know many of you are probably just getting off of work here in the last 30 minutes or so, at least if you get off at 5 o'clock. Some of you I know different times depending on where you work. But for the rest of the afternoon, we've got 2+ hours of daylight left now. We should be good for anything outdoors. Other than this, it is warm. Yeah, temperatures in the mid to even a few cases upper 80s, and not only that, but it is muggy. This temperature in Oakdale is the warmest at 86, but when you couple that with a dew point of 70, it still feels like 90 degrees outside. That heat index was between 92 to 95 earlier today in many areas, so definitely a warm, muggy afternoon, and those numbers are not going to drop a whole lot as we go into the evening tonight. Here's a look at Futurecast, and I will note the number on the screen is the heat index. Important to note that's not the temperature, but the heat index. And look, as we go through the evening hours tonight, we're still in the 80s, I think well after sunset, eventually dropping back into the 70s. And overnight, a mixture of clouds across the area. We'll start our Tuesday morning with the heat index likely in the mid to upper 70s. Actual temperatures, I don't think anyone gets out of the 70s for temperatures either tonight, staying in the low to mid 70s. So no doubt a warm, muggy night. Also likely to be breezy tonight, and the wind will definitely be back tomorrow. Look at these wind gusts, upwards of 20 to 25 mile per hour gusts possible. And look at the heat index tomorrow. Now, I don't really buy the 100-degree heat index. That's a bit extreme, and I'll admit this model is actually looking at a different version of the model than what I was wanting it to. But the idea that the heat index could reach the low 90s, I think that is certainly plausible. The heat index to 100, I don't think we're going to get that warm, but it is a sign that summer is getting ever closer. Though, if you're one of those that likes it to be cooler, and I'll admit I am not, I'm one, I will take this sort of temperature and heat index any day. I know you might be saying, well, that's kind of crazy. Well, we are getting closer to summertime, and it is supposed to be warm. But if you like it a little cooler, I promise I've got something you're going to love here in the full 10-day in a moment. The larger weather map looks like this. Tonight, there may be some storms that pass to our north. We'll have to see if those actually materialize, but they're not going to threaten us. But it is a sign that we're still in this pattern where storm systems will be close to us. And that's the complicating part of the forecast. How close do these complexes get to our area? Unfortunately, over the weekend, we really didn't see a lot of rain Friday night and early Saturday morning. I'm glad we did not see anything severe, but I would have loved to have seen some rain across the area. There were a few showers, but not as widespread as we were hoping to see. And even Saturday night into Sunday, we didn't see anything either, and obviously not this morning. So I say all that because Wednesday might be the day where we get one of these systems close enough to us for some showers. But obviously there is still a high degree of uncertainty in this forecast. And for now, I'm leaving our rain chances on the low side of things going into the end of the week, or into the beginning of the week and toward the middle. Now, toward the end of the week is where things get a little bit more questionable, but I wanted to show you Wednesday here with our local Futurecast, which did a pretty decent job last week predicting the Friday night storms would miss our area. And notice it does try to bring some of those storms across the area late Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. Fingers crossed that plays out. We need the rain. Obviously, I don't want to see anything strong or severe as far as storms, and that is not out of the question if the storms get here. That's what we call a conditional risk for severe weather, meaning you have to actually have the storms here if there's going to be anything severe. If there's no storms, there's no risk of anything severe. I'll keep you updated on that. Obviously, tomorrow here on First Alert Weather Extra, we'll have a better idea as to whether or not that's going to play out for Wednesday afternoon. But beyond that, our attention will turn to an approaching cold front, which should bring a better chance for rain, probably starting as early as Thursday. Definitely a better chance on Friday, though I must mention that models are still kind of flip-flopping back and forth as to whether or not the heavier rain or even better rain chances period will be over our area or to our north, with this version of Futurecast kind of leaning more toward the idea that they may stay just north of us with more scattered showers trailing with the front. The other question is, how quick will it take for this front to clear things out? Because obviously we're heading into the weekend, first weekend in the month of May. I know there's always events going on outdoors this time of year in southwest Louisiana. Right now, I think rain may still be lingering, I'd say, through early to mid-morning. But beyond that, we should be clearing out. Of course, if this front's any slower than expected, that would mean rain could linger well into the day on Saturday. So if you are planning anything outdoors this weekend, especially Saturday, I think it'd be smart to plan on having an indoor alternative if any chance for rain is a problem. But I am also not telling you to cancel anything outdoors, because if the current timing holds, we may be able to do these events without problem. And of course, it should go without saying, because I've said it many times, these long-range models have had a poor track record at best, and that's putting it mildly, with their forecast beyond 3 to 5 days out in time. And that's where we currently are with Saturday and into Sunday. Now, most of the models do agree Sunday is the better of the 2 weekend days with dry conditions across the area, and it's also going to be cooler behind this cold front. A look at the 10-day forecast shows that too. So mid to low 80s for highs through Thursday. Friday definitely cooler for highs. That's because of the rain nearby. But look at the morning lows at the bottom. 72 tomorrow morning. By Sunday morning, we may be in the low 50s. That's a 20-degree swing with morning lows. Now, this time of the year, when you get a full day of sunshine like we likely will Sunday, the afternoon highs will still climb into the mid to upper 70s for highs, even though there is a cold front that moves through. But the morning lows is where you can feel those changes in temperatures. It'll obviously also be less humid behind this front. So again, Saturday, outdoor plans, at least have an indoor option in case that front is delayed. But Sunday, definitely the better of the 2 weekend days. Quick look at our marine forecast before I wrap things up. Tomorrow, very similar to today, southeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas of 2 to 3 feet. As far as our hunting and fishing times, best time looks to be around 11 in the morning, a good time around 5:30 in the afternoon. And we're getting well over 13 hours of sunlight this time of year. That's why Sunday, even though we're behind a cold front, we still warm up. When you get that much sunshine, it's definitely going to warm up. Sunrise is at 6:32. Sunset getting closer to 8 p.m. We'll get there coming up later on in about a couple more weeks. We'll get past 8 p.m. for sunset. It's a sign, too, that summer is getting ever and ever closer. There's a look at our 10-day forecast. Rain chances pretty minimal tomorrow, not much better on Wednesday, but Wednesday's that day we'll have to watch for storms that may pass just north of us, getting into our northern portions of our viewing area. But I think Friday is probably the most likely day to see rain, and I'll have another update on that tomorrow, same time, same place here, but I'll obviously have a full update on our forecast coming up on 7 News at 6. Hope you'll join us then. And one programming note here for television viewers, if you're planning to tune in to 7 News Nightcast tonight at 10 p.m., we will not be on television due to NBA basketball playoff coverage on NBC. But don't fret, you can still watch us right here where you're watching this on your streaming device. We will be live right here on all of our streaming platforms coming up tonight at 10 p.m. But again, we will not be on television tonight at 10 p.m. for the news. But again, I'll see you at 6 coming up in just a few minutes. You guys have a great evening.